Is there anybody else that wants to throw out a question? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sally Gillis. I live in Ormond Beach. And one of the things that bothers me is how many crimes someone has to commit before they actually get punished. What new ideas do you have for putting some kind of a sentence on somebody that they won't do it again? If they're a carjacker and they steal someone's car, they get 20 minutes in jail. It's very upsetting to people in the public, us, not you people, to know that if somebody does something wrong, the fastest way to get them not to do it again is to punish them severely enough that they don't want to do it again. So what ideas do you have for sentencing that might relieve some of that?
Before anybody answers that, I recognize that that's bordering on, basically judges have sentencing guidelines. They have certain thresholds that have to be met, and there's score points where it requires jail, otherwise the jail's be clogged to the hill. I don't believe that they can comment on the ballot. And you want to try it, I worry about crossing the line.
Yeah, I think generally we can give an answer to that, and you and I talked a little beforehand. We cannot commit to any particular sentence or say in the case of a carjacker, I'm going to throw the book at them. We can't say that. We do have a punishment code, and the primary purpose of the punishment code is punishment. But we also have to work within certain guidelines that people score points, and it's this formula, and you do math, and attorneys actually have to do that, where you come up with a score, and then that kind of dictates what the recommended sentence is. And it's not always what you might want it to be, but as a judge, you have to look at that history, look at the impact upon the victim, and other factors, and try and fashion an appropriate sentence, one to make sure they're not out there harming the public again, or that they don't reoffend in the future.
Mr. Burk?
And I would just add to what Mr. Kelly has said. We need to be careful about making generalizations of the criminal justice system based upon particular instances that you may read about in the paper. When you read the newspaper article, you don't have all of the facts that were before the judge. You don't have all the facts that were presented in the courtroom. So it's sometimes easy to armchair quarterback and reach conclusions that may not be based upon all the evidence or all the legal considerations that the judge had to make. So while I understand your concerns, it's been my experience, and in Volusia County particularly, that in general, we've got a pretty good court system, and justice is generally done. There may be a few cases that fall through the cracks, but I don't think you necessarily have to stay up late at night worrying about your concerns.
Every case is different, and judges must follow the law and look at the facts in each particular case and make decisions about sentencing on a case-by-case basis. However, one thing that it's the judge's responsibility to impose the appropriate sentence. So if a prosecutor comes to the court with a plea agreement, I believe that the judge has the legal responsibility to ensure that that is an appropriate sentence. The plea agreement is an appropriate disposition for the case. And that is one way a judge can ensure that criminals don't receive a proper sentence.
Mr. Havens, not to get too much into it, but you've had that experience as well, I believe, where there is some discretion where a judge can do a range of punishments, or he or she can take the chance of saying, you know what, I'm going to throw the book at him. But I think one of the things the audience needs to understand is there's a thing called the 5th DCA, correct, and it gets thrown back, and it's a big nightmare. And I don't know if any of you want to comment on that. I'm sorry, first you.
Right. Well, with regards to the throwing the book at somebody, okay, and we can't comment on that, but there are guidelines, okay. As Mr. Kelly said, in circuit court there is the criminal punishment code, which is the mathematical formula which we have to use. But in county court there are guidelines that are used for the judges in rendering their decisions. Now, the judges must follow the guidelines, but they can work within the guidelines. In other words, they can get creative within the guidelines that there are set to try to come up with tailored sentences. But the judge does also have to worry, well, judges do worry about being overturned on appeal because they have to redo everything. But I am not afraid to be appealed. I'm not afraid to be appealed as a prosecutor. I would never be afraid to be appealed as a judge. It's doing what's right, and that's what counts.
Okay, this panel has been excellent, but unfortunately, we're out of time, so we're going to go into a little overtime, kind of like NASCAR, the green checkered flag.
Green, white, checker.
Yeah, and Mr. Burke, we'll start with you very briefly, please. Why you're running and why people should put their endorsement with you.
Thank you. I'm running because, frankly, after 29 years in the courtroom as a combatant, I think I've picked up enough of the techniques involving legal procedure, knowledge of the law, and courtroom decorum that I frankly think that I would make a good judge. I've had a lot of different and varied lifetime experiences which help me relate to people, help me determine what the facts are, and I think that I have the talent to do that. I also have the trial experience that I can generally immediately put my finger on what's admissible, what's not admissible. I think that I can, like an official at a sporting event, which is basically what a judge does during a trial, I think that I can make the call quickly, efficiently, and make the correct call. I think that I have much more courtroom experience, not only in Volusia County, but across the state in front of hundreds of judges. I've seen what makes a good judge. You know, one of the items that you mentioned earlier, or one of the other candidates in Group 8, I believe, said timeliness, showing up on the bench when it's time. Very important.
Thank you very much. Mr. Havens, please.
When I have dedicated my entire career to the service of the public. I've been a prosecutor for 13 years. When I chose to dedicate myself to the public service, I have a duty to serve the public in the highest calling that I can reach, that I feel I can do the most good, which is county judge. I can help more people as a county judge. I am fair. I ask anyone to talk to anybody that knows me, who deals with me on a daily basis. I have the work ethic. I can handle the load that a county judge must face. There were 72,000 cases filed in the fiscal year last year in Volusia County. There are 10 county judges to handle that load. That's 7,200 cases that a county judge must handle in the fiscal year. I am the only one up here who has that ability. Every docket that I've ever been placed on in the state attorney's office has been the heaviest docket, and I've managed it and managed it well, and will do so as a county judge.
Thank you. I want to make one clarification because Ms. Gillies brought up an issue about throwing the book at him, and I want the audience to be clear that a carjacking is far from a misdemeanor. It's a felony, so it wouldn't come before them anyway. Mr. Kelly, please.
For me, it's about a demonstrated track record of leadership and management. I've served the community on various boards of the Housing Authority, the pastoral council at my church at Basilica of St. Paul. I'm on the finance committee there. It started as a young age of leadership. At 10, I was a paper boy. At 12, I was named Florida Press Association Newspaper Carrier of the Year. In high school, I worked at Western Sizzle Steakhouse, started as a busboy, ended up running the kitchen on Friday nights and Sundays, running the grill. In college, at Daytona State College, worked at the Treasure Island Inn where I started bellhop and ended up running the front office there. I now run the office at the state attorney's office, and I believe it's time for me to take it to the next level as your next county court judge. Thank you.
Mr. Warren, please.
Growing up, my parents taught me at an early age that anyone can learn the law. That's very easy. The more difficult part is having the honesty and integrity to wear the robe and to make the life-changing decisions that a judge makes. Growing up, my parents taught me about personal responsibility, professional ethics, and a commitment to public service. And with your support, I will bring the highest level of professional ethics to the bench. I will follow the law and represent the values of Volusia County.
Very well done, guys. Good luck, and we'll see you in the future.
Thank you.